I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com, and it's part 2 of the dogfight battle between the LG G2 and the Nokia Lumia 925. It's a battle between plastic and metal, Android and Windows Phone 8, LG and Nokia, quad-core and dual-core. The battles continue on, and that's what we're going to find out in part 2. Stick around, let's see which one comes out on top. It's a dogfight battle, and it's part 2 between the LG G2 and the Nokia Lumia 925, two hot devices on the market right now. I say that all the time, but they really are hot devices, and it's tough, increasingly tough to pick between Android and iOS and Windows Phone 8, and even between them, which devices you pick. There are a bunch of awesome Android phones. There are a bunch of awesome Windows Phone 8 devices. We're taking a look at a high-end Android phone and a high-end Windows Phone 8 device, and this is part 2. We'll focus more on the software in this one. If you haven't already, take a look at part 1 where we focused quite a bit on the hardware. And I do want to pick up just by saying this. First of all, this is a plasticky device in look and in feel, so if that's something that bothers you, perhaps you're a fan of the HTC One or that metal build, but you just don't like Android perhaps, this is not going to be the device for you. This is a metal build. It's obviously going to appeal to a different set of people, but the metal around the side's really a nice touch here. That said, I don't have a problem with the plastic. This is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, but besides that, I find this device to be incredibly durable all around. Haven't had any real issues with durability on this unit. Over here, metal on the sides. You may love it. Maybe it's not enough to sway you to Windows Phone 8. I'll let you make that call. But just to give you an idea, there are some pretty significant differences between the feel and hand overall between the G2 and the Lumia 925. I'm going to stop for just a second and thank our partners at Best Buy Mobile because they give us devices like these two for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game. So when you walk into Best Buy Mobile to get either of these devices, they'll make sure, regardless of which carrier you get it on, that you have the best information available to you. They're unbiased. They don't get any sort of commission for recommending AT&T over Verizon or T-Mobile over Sprint, etc. They'll make sure you get the carrier that works the best for you at Best Buy Mobile. So the G2 here, a high-end Android phone from LG with a lot of cool features. The Lumia 925, really a beautiful device, arguably the most beautiful Windows Phone 8 device on the market right now. So we'll take a look here more in terms of software, kicking off part 2. So a couple of things I like about the LG G2. A lot of people love personalization. It's an increasingly important thing in the smartphone space, and a couple of things I want to point out that I really like. And one of them, if you've watched my videos, you know this one. I like the ability to switch out my icons, as you can see here. So for example, browser, I can change these to whatever icon I want within the list. So let's say, I want that to be my browser icon. I can click OK, and that turns into my browser icon. So really a cool little personalization piece there, and you can see here the animation as I swipe between screens. That can be changed as well by coming into the settings here, and we'll go down into display, and we'll come down here to home screen, and we'll change it just by doing this screen swipe effect. I can do carousel, I can do breeze, and as I do that, you can see it showing me the animation here between all the different options. Carousel, basic, for example, layer. I can do domino if I want to, and hit OK, and back right out, and you can see that's more of a domino effect there. I really find that to be a huge domino effect. Maybe if I had a lot of applications on the home screen, but a lot of different options here. Front touch buttons is another one of my favorites. You can customize these touch buttons to fit your personal needs. So let's say you're moving from a Samsung device to an LG device, for example, and you're used to the menu button being in a different place. I can swipe over and use these and have my menu button over on the right side, for example, as opposed to, the left side as opposed to the right side. Or perhaps I want to keep the LG standard configuration, or I want to include this with quick access to my notification drawer. Or perhaps I want to do this for quick note. I can just type right there, quick memo rather. I can just click that and access it and draw on the screen as I see fit, and then go right back. But I can change the theme as well. If I don't want the buttons to be white, I can change them to black, as you see right there. And I've got my own custom set of on-screen buttons, which I find that, again, personalization is where it's at. I find that to be really a cool feature, a bunch of cool features on the LG G2. Also, applications here, you can see everything moves exceptionally fast. They've really worked on the user interface overall. Huge improvements over LG devices from 2010, 2011, even 2012, and a lot of different widget options here on the G2, as well with my buttons, my customizable buttons nonetheless, down here at the bottom. Likewise, you got a lot of options when it comes to lock screen here. I can jump into the lock screen and take a look at the weather. I can take a look at the wallpaper. I can change out one of my favorites. I can go up and down. Actually, let's go ahead and find this one. Go to screen off effect. I have it set to fade out, but I can do black hole. I can do retro TV if I want to, and you can see all of those change. So when I go back here and knock to turn it off, it has that retro TV look and feel, and then I can turn it on and off just by clicking my finger twice on the display. Over here on the Lumia 925, it's one of those things, you know, Windows Phone 8 is pretty standardized across the board, but Nokia has, or had at least until they sold their hardware division to Microsoft, quite a stake in the game, if you will. You know, this was competing directly against Android, and still is to a large extent, but competing directly against Android and even other Windows Phone OEMs, and so they wanted those value adds in there, and to that extent, they've got some great ones. Here, City Lens, for example, here Drive, here Maps, here Transit, all free Nokia applications that come out of the box. And if you watch my Windows Phone videos, you know I talk a lot about these, but I think they're important value adds here to help the ecosystem, because Windows Phone 8, comparatively speaking, a very young ecosystem, and Nokia has done a lot around that ecosystem to make it far better and far more up to par with iOS and to Android. Nokia ProCam, Nokia SmartCam, we'll take a look at all of these here in just a second. But for example, one of my personal favorites, we'll go to, let's see, we'll start with Here City Lens. This is actually one of my favorites. So we'll go into Here City Lens, for example, and you can see Explore, it's showing me Dallas. So let's say, for example, I'm traveling for work and I'm landing in San Francisco or New York or one of the litany of cities I go to on a regular basis for work. Los Angeles. Dallas obviously is my home, so this one's going to be a little bit less of a challenge. But let's say I'm looking for a place to eat and drink and I just stepped out of DFW, for example, and I'll go in here and take a look. I'll calibrate my compass. Pardon me while I pull it off camera here to do that. And we'll go ahead and I can show you all the different areas here. You can see all these different restaurant options right here. And of course, as I move the phone, those options move as well. When I turn it into portrait mode, it brings up, I'll go ahead and swipe this again. My compass needs to be calibrated. There we go. Signature Deli, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Organic Cafe, Taco Del Mar, Boston Market, Subway, Chick-fil-A, Sona Rosa, and more. So I've got a lot of different options here. When I kick it right back into portrait, or excuse me, landscape mode, it gives me all those options right there. Now, likewise, you can do this with accommodations. You can do this with shopping, with going out, with museums, and more. So you can really get a feel of the city without having to Google search everything. Like Google search, you know, you've done this before. I do it all the time. Land in San Francisco for work, and despite the fact I've been to San Francisco 150 times, I'll be staying in a different area of the city, or I'll be staying in Oakland or something, and I'll be like, hey, I want a good place to eat dinner. I'll type in food in the Google browser, well, or the Google search bar. Not the case here on the Lumia 925, far easier with these built-in applications. And likewise, you get some really nice GPS options here as well, and a pretty decent set of customizations over here. I highlighted customizations on the G2. It's fair to do it over here as well. In Windows Phone 8, you have the option to resize most of the tiles, and most of them come with 3 different configurations here. So you get the smallest, the largest, and then the middle one. And as you would expect, as you increase or reduce the size, it increases or reduces the amount of available information on the screen. So if I increase, for example, my phone icon, my phone live tile rather, when I have a missed call, I can see the missed call there. When I increase it down to middle size or the smallest size, I only see 1 or 2 or 3 or however many calls, missed calls I've had there. So it depends on what you have. And you know, if you remember me talking about Windows Phone 7, one of my arguments was there's such a great use case for that with messages or emails where you can see previews of stuff. We can do that in quite a few of the applications in Windows Phone 8 now. Another one of my favorite applications in Windows Phone 8, the Me Hub. And you can see here my Twitter account's linked. I can post an update directly from this. I can see my notifications. I can go ahead and post an update from Twitter, or I can share it through other mediums if I have other accounts connected, but I can say hi there from the Nokia Lumia 925 and submit that, and it'll tweet directly from there. People Hub is great as well. Lots of different alternatives here that I like. What's New brings together what's new in my Twitter feed. I've got my Together account, so if I have a group, for example, Phone Dog staff, I can add those in and move those people around and send out a blast email. Same thing with groups as well. I can add a room, so if my family or friends have Windows phones, we can combine together and share a lot of different crucial information. Let's take a look at cameras here as well, and I know I'm running out of time. 13 megapixel camera on the G2, 8.7 megapixel camera on the Lumia 925. Now what I like about the Lumia 925, it's got some great stuff here, and you can see right now I'm in the standard camera. Let's go to the Nokia ProCam here so you can see what it looks like, and you're going to recognize this immediately from the Nokia Lumia 1020. A very professional camera all around with a lot of different options here. I can swipe this out and get access to white balance, to ISO, to a lot of different options here, and swipe it back to go ahead and see those in small preview up there at the top. And then over here as well, a couple of different settings. I can do bracketing settings, review on. I can change it to the front camera if I want to. And I can change my settings here, aspect ratio, detect faces, and more. And then I have the button over here on the top, the physical button, half press to focus in, full press to take a picture. And you'll see it pop up there. as my most recent image. So really a nice image all around. 8.7 megapixel camera. The optics here are very, very nice. It's one thing Nokia has done well thanks to the Carl Zeiss partnership. Really impressive optics all around. And you've got a wealth of different options here you didn't have before, and you still don't have in some Windows Phone devices from other OEMs. You've got Nokia Smart Cam, the Pro Cam, and these are downloaded through what's called lenses, and you can set this to automatically default to the Pro Cam if you want to. But I've got Panorama, Nokia Cinematograph. There are a lot of different options in the Windows Phone store as well. So you download these lenses and activate those as you see fit. Nokia Smart Cam is here as well, where you can take a blast of pictures. So an impressive image quality all around. 13 megapixel camera over here, really nice image quality, optical image stabilization, and a wealth of editing options make this a great choice for many. You can come in here to mode, for example, and see all my different modes. Shot and clear, I have HDR, I have the dual camera mode where I can use the front and rear facing camera simultaneously, as you see right there. Then I can go back into time catch shot, sports mode, night mode, and more burst shot, shot and clear, panorama, a wealth of options here. And of course within my settings I can change them thanks to the tabs here, cheese shutter, ISO, white balance, color effect, focus, and more. So a lot of different choices here depending on where you're taking the picture, be it at night, be it a fast moving picture, etc., etc. Picture quality here is exceptional. One of the best things about the G2 picture quality. OIS works really nicely here. And you can see, just showing you this picture after the fact, and these again are very much test pictures, but you can see how clear Nokia came out all around. And granted, there's light shining down, pretty strong light, but really an impressive camera on this device all around. So it's a tough call. You know, there's Android, there's Windows Phone 8, and both have their advantages. It depends on what you want, what's most important to you. If build quality is more important to you, then I would imagine the Lumia 925 is probably going to be your device. If you like that metal, you like Windows Phone 8, it can be a great option for you. The one on AT&T is in black as well, so if black metal is one of your favorites, this could be a device worth looking at. Windows Phone 8 has made leaps and bounds from the original Windows Phone 7. Then you got the G2 over here, definitely a top 3 Android contender. Fantastic screen, 1080p looks great, the camera's awesome, the battery life here at 3,000 milliamp hours, really nice all around, fast charger, and a great contender as well. Overall, somebody's going to win the dogfight, so the winner of the battle is the LG G2, but I'd love to hear from you on Twitter at phonedog_Aaron. Tell me which one you like more and which one you would have had win the dogfight if you were the one doing the video. I always love to hear those comments, love to hear your different takes between Windows Phone 8 and Android, but you know, as we get into 2013, and I say this in a lot of videos, it's really tough to decide between these two. You're going to have to make that list, like I always say, of 5 things that are most important to you and go from there and picking your next smartphone. Thanks for watching. More to come, particularly the G2 and the Lumia 925. We'll have dogfights between both of these devices with other units as well, so keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage. I'll see you next time.